الله أكبر الله 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 أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I'm SAJ Mahal. Welcome to tonight's edition of SAJ Mahal. The subject matter this evening is: can Muslim footballers help fight Islamophobia? There is no doubt that wherever you look, UK or abroad, the rise in anti-Muslimness, Islamophobia is on the increase. The facts and figures in the UK and globally indicate that there is no let-up. Despite all the policies governments make, despite all the initiatives, Islamophobia continues to rise. And of course, the shocking images that you see on social media and various reports coming out from all over the world continue to leave us Muslims in despair. So, the chances of you being attacked if you believe in the one God, Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, as his messenger, as his final messenger, are far greater than if you're a non-believer. If you happen to wear a hijab, have a beard, go to the mosque for worship, again, the chances are that you will be have racist, Islamic phobic slurs far greater than if you don't. So against this backdrop, we have the world of football, the world's greatest football, world's greatest sport. An estimated, these are figures from FIFA in fact, 265 million people play the game. And this is staggering. An approximate 3.5 billion people worldwide say they are fans of football. That's astounding. That represents a population 1 in 2 people. So, and this is the amazing thing, football's popularity continues to grow, and particularly so in the Islamic world. In the last World Cup, for example, in Russia, the eventual winners, France, had 7 international players with Muslim backgrounds. In fact, 7 of the finalists in the tournament were from Muslim countries. Even Pakistan is getting in on the act. Very recently, the legendary player from Liverpool, Manchester United, Real Madrid, and England, Michael Owen, has been nominated as the ambassador for Pakistani National Football League. In fact, so much emphasis has been put on his visit and importance given to him that the President of Pakistan and General Bajwa hosted a dinner in his honor. The recent AFCON tournament, the eventual winners were Senegal. What do we know about Senegal? Not a great deal, I'm sorry to say, except a population of 60 million, 96% are Muslims. So Muslim nation, again, participating. In fact, 12 of the 24 teams participating in that tournament were Muslim nations. Now, I could go on and on giving you examples, but this is the most important point of all. Looking at the globe, looking at some of the world's greatest, most talented, sought-after, valuable footballers are the likes of Paul Pogba of Manchester United, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah of Liverpool, Karim Benzema, and so on. Now, these people, these players, are loved by the millions of supporters, in fact, billions worldwide. Their names are chanted, their names are written on the back of shirts and so forth. And the majority of those people almost worshipping these players are non-Muslims. So this is the subject this evening. Can such players, such high-profile celebrities make a valuable contribution? In fact, are they making a valuable contribution to help in the fight against Islamophobia? Now, to help me discuss these matters and such subject, we have 2 guests, one in the studio via Zoom link, and of course our lovely viewers, we always welcome your calls. I will let you know when the live call number goes live. But my studio guest this evening is the legendary Purvis Ali, who's been a guest here previously, but because of the busy telephone lines, we didn't get a chance to talk much. So Purvis, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Just to recap, Purvis has played for the world-famous Accrington Stanley. He's been a trustee of their academy. He's been a board member. He's a pioneer setting up the professional scouting system academy. He did a 15-year stint at Manchester United as a scout. He has travelled extensively throughout the world, met everyone that you can think of in professional football. He's currently a business advisor. And most importantly of all, this is what I want to really talk to him about this evening. He's met the great, in fact, the greatest of them all, Muhammad Ali, the boxer. So we'll talk about that later on. Thank you very much. And now, next, of course, we have a gentleman who's joining us via the internet, sitting in the UK's 7th largest city, home of the famous Leeds United Football Club, and of course, the slightly controversial Yorkshire Cricket Club. In addition to being a very, very talented footballer himself, he's extremely passionate about football, but he's even more so passionate and totally committed to equality, diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And he has very strong views on the subject of Islamophobia. An ex-policeman, he's the founder and chief executive of the National Centre for Diversity. It is my great pleasure to welcome Solat Chaudhry. Solat, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you this evening?
Assalamualaikum, Saj. Thank you very much for having me.
Very good. Welcome. Right, Solat, let's start off with you. In light of the subject that I've raised in discussions around Islamophobia, tell me your views. What are you seeing at the moment?
Well, I think just before we do that, Saj, it might be good just to set the context and frame the discussion. And if you look at a starting point for Islamophobia, it's probably since day one, since our Prophet, peace be upon him, actually revealed the message. Muslims received opposition and hatred and conflict very virtually from the first day, because Islam represented something different, a change to the existing order. In more modern times, you can trace it back as far as Winston Churchill with the stuff that he said about Muslims and about our religion. But I think in my lifetime, the first time I really came across Islamophobia, and Islamophobia in this country was probably born en masse, was just directly after the Salman Rushdie demonstrations and protests. Prior to that, we were all, and I'm saying this with inverted commas, I'm not going to use the full word, but we were all the bees, weren't we? And you know which word I'm talking about.
I missed that. We're
all patches, weren't we?
P word, yes.
P word, yes.
Yeah.
Right, we were all the P word. Whether you were brown, whatever you were, Hindu, Sikh, we're all the P word. Yeah. And suddenly, people started to realise actually there was this whole another bunch of people called Muslims. And it was really, Islamophobia didn't really take off at that time, but people, you could see society, the establishment figures at that time who were very, very conservative, probably right wing compared to where we are today. Arguably, that might not be the case if you're a Labour Party member. You might be arguing that the Conservative Party is just the same as they were all those 30 years ago. But actually, then what we started to see is different conflicts, the Iraq War, 9/11, and suddenly this thing became a real thing, getting Islamophobia. And I think it's more insidious, more dangerous than the good old-fashioned racism. You knew where you were with racism. With Islamophobia, it's completely different. You've got figures like Tommy Robinson saying that I love Hindus, I love Sikhs, I love Jewish people. It's those Muslims. They're the ones that are causing all the problems. They're the ones that hate us. And so the whole debate has become very subtle. And I think that's where the danger is. And I think what we're going to try and do over the next 5 to 10 years is try and redesignate or redefine Islamophobia as being a type of racism.
Right, it's very important that actually what you're saying, so just expand on that, what you're saying.
So this has been done before, so I'm not sure if we can do this. There are much more powerful figures and bigger intellects than me that have tried to do this, to try and redesignate Islamophobia as being a type of racial hatred. Now, of course, being a Muslim isn't a race, but actually, if you look at all the Muslims in the world, the vast majority, the vast majority of them would be black or brown. Okay, and many more would be seen to be under the. If you look at the, you've heard the term BAME, it stands for Black, Asian, Minority, Ethnic.
Is
so
that
most of them would be.
Use? Because these terms tend to change all the time, and
it's controversial. The use of that term is really controversial. That's a whole another show in itself.
Right.
But generally, people don't have a term at the moment that everybody accepts for race. So people just spell out the words now. They just say Black, Asian, and Minority, Ethnic. So I would say almost all Muslims come to that description: Black, Asian, or Minority, Ethnic. Of course, you're going to have some white, American, European Muslims that have reverted or converted back to Islam. You're going to have them as well, but you don't have the same protections. I had a disagreement with somebody, and they were really being rude about our religion and about the Prophet in particular.
Yes.
And I said to him, "You're being Islamophobic."
Yes.
So how can I possibly be Islamophobic? But everything that I've just said to you is written on Wikipedia. So go and argue Wikipedia then.
Yeah.
Now, what you're able to do is get away with things, say things, do things that in the name of that somebody's having a dispute with you about your religion that you wouldn't be able to get away with in terms of comments around race.
Yeah.
And so therefore the protections and the punishments. I mean, if you look at racial hatred now, when I was a policeman a long time ago, we had the Public Order Act, and you had Section 5, Section 4, which basically were protection from harassment and threats of violence. And then after I had gone, they'd introduced all sorts of things, things like racial hatred, and it became an aggravating factor, and therefore carried a much more severe punishment. Now, that's the kind of thing that we need to have for Islamophobia as well. We can't just go back to the good old, Section 5 public order offences. We need to have much more stringent sentencing. Sorry.
But sort of, where is the problem? Because these issues around definition of Islamophobia, I mean, Baron Said Varsi's been raising this for almost a decade, and I was in on a discussion group the other day, and they were still talking about how best to define Islamophobia. I mean, which authorities do we need to approach? Who are the people that make these kind of decisions? What are the instruments in place?
Ultimately, there needs to be an all-party parliamentary group. It's parliamentarians that make this happen, along with the civil servants. Now, the laws are made by the powers that be, the establishment figures in the civil service, and it's usually done because of culture change in politics, in society, usually happens because of grassroots pressure. In organisations, it's complete opposite. It's usually the top chief exec that changes, helps, precipitates that change for culture. In society, it's the other way around. It's grassroots that force that pressure. So we need to get that groundswell of pressure, work with an all-party parliamentary group, and then work cohesively in a concentrated way to get that legislation. The changing of the definition is up to us. We can define race any way we want to. There's nothing that says you can't. Just because it's about a religion, there's nothing anywhere that says that we can't change the definition to incorporate religion. If you look at, go on. Sorry.
Thank you for now. Really appreciate you setting that into context. No doubt we'll come back to that. I want to just move the conversation on, because it's a twofold kind of conversation. Obviously, we've got the Islamophobia, it's there, and you rightly said it's interwoven into every aspect of our society. But what I want to explore and try and tease out is how professional footballers, Muslim footballers, or sports people, or in fact any walk of life really, can make a positive contribution. Now, going to Pervez, as I said at the beginning, he's had the pleasure of meeting one of the greatest sportsmen, in fact one of the greatest human beings ever to have lived. and particularly for his brave stance against racism and Islamophobia. The term wasn't prevalent in those days. But he also was a great ambassador. You know, he came across, he presented a very positive image of Muslims and Islam. So, Pervez, welcome again. Thank you for joining us. First of all, tell me how you came to meet this great man and what was he like?
Assalamu alaikum, Sajid. Good evening, viewers. Yeah, a long time ago since we met the great man, about 12 years ago, down in Stoke City. We went down to a dinner, and it was an audience.
Oh, so it was in England, not, you didn't go to the States,
no,
right? Okay.
It came to Stoke City,
yeah.
And it was an evening dinner with Muhammad Ali, and all the stars are there. We're lucky to get in, so me and my son went down. Great day, I think we went down to the day, yes, day. Great day, and we got a photograph with him.
Yes.
Got to meet him.
Yeah.
He didn't talk really, to be honest. It was disheartening to see him in that state.
Yes.
But I just looked at him, but I didn't want to remember him what he looked like there,
yeah.
but what he was a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he still had that presence, and the aura around him was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of people around him, good people.
Right. Now, you've done a fair bit of boxing as well, so tell me, in terms of, say, Muhammad Ali, the sportsman we know maybe less about his contribution to society in general when he's fight against racism and Islamophobia. Tell me what you know about that side of Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali was a great advocate, wasn't he? He went around the world, he changed his name. He obviously, I think kids growing up, as we were growing up, we realised who we were. We attached ourselves to Muhammad Ali. We were proud to be Muslim because Muhammad Ali was Muslim. And yeah, it was great. You know, when you played football, you wanted to be Pele because he was black, but obviously he wasn't Muslim. But Muhammad Ali, he was Muslim, and it was great, and everybody loved him. Yeah. And everybody loved him, not just Muslims.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So look, obviously you're a very keen sports person. So let's expand out the discussion then in terms of sports people, and in particularly footballers, and their role, the positive role they can play, the positive contribution they can make in fighting Islamophobia.
Well, I think you've already outlined that. I think you've said, you know, I've seen those songs about Muhammad Salih's, is it Salah la la la? Yeah. If it was, there's a song about him, if sitting in a mosque, and if he scores another goal, I'll be Muslim too. So you've seen those songs. But I think, look, we are very often, somebody turns Muslim, whether it's Luke Shaw or somebody else turns Muslim, and I get all these texts from everybody saying, "Oh, this guy's turned Muslim. Such as the pop stars turned Muslim."
Yeah.
You know, Mike Tyson's turned Muslim, right? And everybody gets all excited about it. But actually, you know, we don't really need these famous figures to inspire us. We've got the most inspiring person ever in the history of humanity, who's the example that we can look at. And I feel that, yes, they can make a contribution, these footballers, but actually there's 2.5, 3 million Muslims in this country. The way to tackle Islamophobia is there needs to be a twin-track approach. Muslims ourselves, we have to be more inclusive. If every single Muslim in this country did one act of kindness, it could be anything.
Very good.
Right? It could be anything. It could be pushing somebody's car when they're broken down. It could be dropping off some milk. It could be anything. Just way miling. If 3 million of us did 3 million acts of kindness every single day, we would win the hearts of those people that would be Islamophobic, and we'd remove some of the fears that they have about us. That's the first track. The second track is to deal with those people that are Islamophobic in all its forms, whether it's hidden hurt, and to really start to fight back against the media publicity about what a Muslim is. And the only time you ever see a Muslim, the first fight in the old days, actually we've gone back to Russia now being the enemy. At one time it was various Muslim groups that were the enemy. So the first 3-4 stories would always be about Muslims. It'd be about ISIS, or it'd be about Al Qaeda, etc. Where's Al Qaeda gone, by the way? You don't hear about them anymore when it became ISIS. And so the first 3-4 stories was always that. And so now that we're off the news because of the Russia thing, I think what we need to do is A, win the hearts and minds back, but also deal with those people who've still got entrenched views in a 20-year period, really, when Muslims were hammered by the media, hammered by people on the streets. You know, and it's not just, you know, if you just take Muslims as you know, and break it down into kind of intersection with them, what you've got is if you're brown and you're a Muslim, right, and you're a woman that wears hijab, or you are absolutely out there to be attacked. You're a target. It's almost like you're walking around. So many stories. So many people have told me. My daughter, my sister, my mum got spat at, attacked. So many stories. I bet we can all name that. Tell a story about that. And you've got the similar situation with a brown Muslim man with a beard. There's all these factors that act as a disadvantage to people moving forward and actually making something of their lives. And we see that acted out in the workplaces as well.
Yeah, actually, Solat, you made a very, very good point early on in your communication there. And that's what I want to really highlight. In fact, I was going to discuss it much later on, but you raised it, which is, you're right. I mean, we all get excited when we hear of famous personalities converting to Islam or somebody does something good. But, and this is what I wanted to ask actually, it occurred to me that no matter how much we do, how many policies are in place, how many committees we become part of, we break down barriers, yet Islamophobia continues to rise. And it's as though we haven't won the hearts and minds of people. And you're right. And I was going to say, what is it that we as individuals, or we should be doing more, you know, inviting our neighbours around? When did we last invite our neighbour around? So we need to work at the operational level. There's things that need to happen at the strategic level, which is what Solat was saying in terms of, definitions of Islamophobia and policy making and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think Solat has picked up some good points. I think, remember, in our faith, charity is there. And I think, you know, a lot of Muslims do a lot of good charity work, and sometimes it doesn't get recognised. But we do. Ramadan's coming up now, just see what people do then, see the generosity of the Muslims around the world. And I think we do, like random acts of kindness. I think the majority of Muslims are like that. They will look after the neighbour, and they do look after the neighbours as well. So I think, yeah, we don't hear it enough of good things that Muslims do.
that is a really good point actually, because let's take the recent COVID pandemic. You know, the number of Muslim doctors and nurses, their contribution to the whole COVID pandemic is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I think one of the first people to die of it in the NHS was a Muslim as well. And you're right, this comes down to another point in terms of the role of the media. You know, what role that plays in terms of perhaps contributing to Islamophobia and perhaps not helping to undermine it.
Yeah, you're right. The media have got, they've got a way to promote anything they want, and you're right. It's always the bad news they want to promote all the time. But yeah, we've got to work hard, like Solat said. Start looking at helping neighbours out, start doing good things, and teach the kids that in our faith, charity is quite important, and you've got to give time and whatever you can, whether it's money or give your time to help, the vulnerable, whoever it could be. Yeah. And that's what I like to do myself. So if I'm not doing sport, I like to get involved with charities and help wherever I can.
So actually, Perez, yours is an interesting story. I mean, going back all those times, a club like Accrington Stanley, they will never have seen a brown face, a Muslim guy, and you walk in. What was your experience, and how have you managed to win people over?
When I first went to the club, I remember the manager there was a guy called Jerry Keegan, from Liverpool. Plenty of players were there from Liverpool as well. They were all right, to be honest. They weren't too bad. They never said anything. And they were, because I was there, I was only a young kid anyway, so they were quite warm towards me. And even playing football till I finished, I've experienced positive things, to be honest. It's never been negative, because I never did anything to, wind anybody up. I just fit in and did what I had to do.
Yeah.
So what I towed the line, maybe. Yeah, so my experience, not really. I couldn't really say, well, I went to that place and I got this and they did this. No, it's been positive for me.
And I mean, you travelled extensively from Corn to Cameroon to Korea. What has your experiences been like in terms of going to these places and
it's good.
Doing your work?
People are always interested. They do come up to you and say, you are from England, and what are you? And you tell them you're a Muslim and you live in the UK. My parents are from Pakistan, heritage. And they're happy, they receive you well, they treat you well as well. Even UAE, Cameroon was interesting as well. There were plenty of Muslims in Cameroon. South Korea, a little bit different because we didn't understand what people were doing and saying there, but we went down well wherever we went. And I took my son with me to South Korea, and a good friend, we wanted to tutor a guy called Jimmy Khan, an international footballer.
Yeah.
We all went, and it was no problem at all. We
Yeah.
got well received, and we were always in the public, in the football arena.
Yes.
And it was sport.
Yes.
So sport, you know, it breaks down barriers.
Yeah.
And sport is different to everything else. So yeah, so I think I'm quite fortunate in life, even today, that I've been quite lucky and gone past all the ugly side of Islamophobia, and I've just seen the positive side, to be honest. Even now at football games,
Yeah.
I see more Asian people watching football now, from United to Accrington Stanley to Blackburn to Burnley, and not so much at Burnley, but definitely at Blackburn Rovers. And there's people, you know, there's people in positions at the clubs now, diversity managers,
Yes.
you know, going out there, outreaching, bringing, you know, families to the club as well. So I think it's all positive, to be honest. Even the trust and the foundations, Man United Foundation, the trust at Accrington Stanley, they work really hard to go and engage with the community to get them to come and watch football.
Yes.
So they're all trying.
They are trying, and it's a common theme throughout the football world, actually, particularly in this country. I mean, Burnley is an interesting example, obviously known for a very long time for having allegedly some of the worst football supporters, and the allegedly suicide squad that they had, a set of supporters who had very violent tendencies, apparently. But, you know, there was an incident, was it last year, when one of the supporters, or a group of supporters, put up this banner saying White Lives Matter, and they made some racist comments and so forth. And the club captain of Burnley, he came out and made a statement saying how ashamed he was of his club and his supporters. And this is a little known fact, that Sean Dyche, the manager, actually took his players to visit a mosque within the next few days or whatever. And the Burnley Football Club are working really, really hard. They're, you know, reaching out to different mosques. They have a good relationship. They're inviting people to come to the club. They're reaching out. So clubs are working hard. But what intrigues me is that on the surface, these things are happening. But perhaps where we don't really get to is some of the supporters and people associated with clubs, etc., maybe resent a lot of this. And perhaps, you know, they don't have a voice, and how do we win their hearts and minds?
Well, you've got different sets of supporters. You've got the season ticket holders who go in, you know, week in, week out, you know, every home game and sometimes away games. You've got the corporate fans coming as well. So I'm seeing more and more people, especially more at Blackburn. I'm sorry, Burnley, I don't know much about your club. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and I hope you are. But Blackburn, you know, there's a lad working there.
Yes.
A friend of mine, Yasser, and he's doing a wonderful job there, integrating the community, and he's doing from the top to the bottom, bringing the young kids into to the ground, and parents as well. So Blackburn are doing it. They've got, even I know clubs like Blackburn have got a little bit of a prayer room.
They have, yes.
You know, for the fans. I don't know whether Burnley have, but I think they will have. I don't know. Apologise.
They haven't got enough supporters.
Have they not? Apologise again. But these, you know, people, you know, the clubs are looking, and they're putting, you know, things in place for all the fans, and the Muslims are getting well looked after in a roundabout way.
Yeah. In fact, they've even introduced a chicken tikka dish at break times.
I saw it advertised.
Did you see that advertised? So as long as the people still get the meat and potato pies, otherwise there could be some resentment. Solat, are you still there with us? Yes, he is. Solat, so your long distinguished career as an amateur footballer and policeman, you've seen so many changes. Going to Manchester United, watching them play on a regular basis, what changes have you seen in terms of the supporter profile, as well as perhaps the behaviour of supporters to one another?
Well, Manchester United is a massive contradiction, right? On the one level, right, it's the most inclusive club in the world, right, in terms of the supporters.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't go to Man United for many, many years, and I started going back again with my son. when my son became old enough to go to Man United.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll tell you a story, quick story, Sarge.
Yes.
It was the first time, it was PSG 2019, we managed to get 2 Champions League tickets. And we went on the tram, right? And I said to my son at the tram station, zip up your jacket, cover your scarf, we're in Man City territory here. So and he was only 8 years of age at the time. We went on the tram and we saw these white guys, right? The lager lights, cans of lager. We thought, oh my God. And I remember the last time we used to go to matches, right? And you see people like that, it was horrendous because they'd be shouting stuff at you, spitting at you, they'd be doing all sorts of stuff, right? Trying to attack you. Anyway, we both had our zips, you know, right up to the top. Anyway, talking to a woman next to me, and I said, excuse me, how do we get to the ground from here? And this guy who was listening with his can of beer, there's about 10 of them, by the way, all big thug-looking types. And he turns around and says, are you going to the match? And I said, yeah. He said, we are too. He said, are you Man United fans? And I said, yeah. He goes, we are as well. Right. And I said to my son, it's okay, you can zip your jacket now. We're amongst Man United fans. And he turned around, Sarge, and he said, yeah, you're all right. You're one of us. Right? And I'll tell you what, I can't tell you the feeling of inclusion and belonging. Yeah. We've been hammered for 15 years, because of Islamophobia. We've been told we're not welcome here. We've been told we're the enemy for 15 years. Yeah. In that one sentence uttered by this white, big, tough-looking, mean guy, right? It took it all away. Yeah. Right? And it made me fall in love with Man United all over again. We've been to away fans. I took my daughter to an away match. Yeah. And there was a mad scramble at the train station, right? And all the Red Army was there, right? The hardcore away fans, right? And there was a guy trying to get off the train as the train pulled in at the train station. And he got stuck amongst the Man United fans and let him through. And then me and my daughter, I put my daughter in front of me, and I said, let's go in quietly and carefully, and just be careful we don't get bumped, or you don't get bumped particularly, because my daughter's only very vulnerable as well. Anyway, they saw us coming, right? This Asian man with his daughter, right? And the sea parted. Yeah. It was amazing, right? The Red Army, the hardcore Man United fans with such a bad reputation, right? Parted. I said, let him through, he's got his daughter. And they let us right through. And then we sat on the train and they started talking to my daughter. Are you all right, love? I said, it's a birthday. He's going, happy birthday and all that. Unbelievable. Yeah. So Man United is a huge contradiction. Yes. So you've got that, you've got the fans. If you go to Man United, you will see. I took a Leeds fan there and he said, I can't believe it. There's women in hijabs here. Nobody's getting harassed. Exactly. Right? Yeah. And you've seen yourself, Sarge, how inclusive it is. However, the club in itself is a shambles top to bottom.
Before you go further on that, Solat, it's been remiss of me. Dear viewers, I have not mentioned the live call number. The lines are open. The phone number, please give us a call on the discussions you're hearing, any comments you have. We'd love to hear from you. The number is 0161 529 9455. I'll repeat that for you. 0161 529 9455. Please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Sorry about that, Solat. Please carry on.
Yeah, so with Man United, it's a contradiction. So you've got the fans, and that's largely by the fans themselves. And I actually met he's written a book, and he's a football hooligan, this guy called Tony O'Neill. I'm meeting him soon. The hooligan, way back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. And he's written a book called Red Army General. So he was a leader of these football hooligans, Man United football hooligans. Yeah. And there was 20,000 of them at its height. Yes. And in his book, he talks about racism. He said, I could not stand it. I could not stand the racism of clubs like Chelsea and Leeds and other clubs, and I wouldn't have it. Yeah. He said, I wanted all my fans, whatever the colour, whether they were black or Asian or anybody else, they were, as far as I was concerned, if you were red, you were red. This guy, you would imagine, right, had a huge amount of influence. So the inclusivity that we see going to stadiums, away from stadiums, right, can partly be traced back to people like him, turning around and saying, no, we're not having it for this club, right? Although the power and authority they had commanded 20,000 people, in its prime. It's a really, really strange story, right? That somebody like him, right, who would have been described as a...
Stop you. We have our first live caller of the evening. Good evening. Who's calling, please?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Who's calling?
This is Dr. Muhammad calling,
Dr. Mohammed Saab, thank you very much for calling. How are you? Good evening.
Hello. Very interesting topic that why Muslim footballers are not to help fight Islamophobia. In my experience, in Pakistan, the cricket is very popular and hockey is our national game.
Yes.
A lot of cricketers are very popular in England and overseas. But football has been neglected, although it's a very popular sport. Pele and forgotten the other name. But recently I heard that one international footballer, Michael Owen or something.
Michael Owen.
Yeah, he has gone to Pakistan to promote football in Pakistan.
Yes.
But football is a very simple game, most simple game that I know of. In cricket and other games, you need a lot of equipment and all that.
Yes.
But football is the most simple game.
So have you ever been to a football game, Dr. Muhammad?
I used to, but not now.
Who do you support, Dr.
Sometimes
Muhammad?
watch on the television,
Dr. Muhammad, who do you support?
Pardon?
Which football team do you support?
Here there is Aston Villa. I support my local
because you're from
area,
Birmingham. Aston Villa, yes.
And but I've been to some venues in football. But football is where some English people are very crazy about football. But you are right. This is Islamophobia. Due to Islamophobia, a lot of our Asian people are not coming forward in football. They should. Football is a very simple game, and a lot of Muslim and other countries are playing football. So Pakistani people should also support football.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you for your call. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay. Right, yeah. So picking up the conversation again, this is the thing for me, is that the clubs are spending so much money and time recruiting young footballers, training them. Uppermost in my mind at the moment is, say, my nephew, young Hamza Butt. He's been elected to play rugby for Wigan Warriors, who I'm told is quite a big team. The Manchester United Rugby, I've been told. Now, from the age of sort of 10, he's been playing for clubs, English clubs. They're all English players. The whole setup is English, rugby very much so. Now, he's gone to a club, they're all English. They're so welcoming, they've spent, there's no hint of Islamophobia there whatsoever. Okay, so, we need to applaud that. Now, on the flip side of that, this is what I'm trying to get at, is that there's a young Muslim kid gone into environment. He's an ambassador for his family, for his town, for his religion, and the impact that we Muslims can make in any field of, whether it's sport or business or whatever, by just being, as you said, being good Muslims and having good attitude and good behavior, and that's a positive occurrence, and it's winning hearts and minds. That's what we're saying. That's what it's about.
Well, Mo Salah at Liverpool, like you said, he's the greatest advocate for us all. He's done brilliant. A great player as well. He went there as not saying it, an unknown, but he's done really well. And like you said, the Muslims there, watching the game, and the fans at Liverpool must be in awe. They've found Sadio Mane there as well. So great, you've got two Muslim players there. But yeah, you're right. Things are changing. I think when I'm going to games, I just see positive things, and people, are looking at people like myself and looking at role models. And you're always, ambassador, and the way you carry yourself and what you do. And it's great to see young players come through. My friend at Jimmy Khan, his son has just been signed by Preston North End.
Excellent.
Yeah, he left Stoke, then he's got signed by Preston, done really well, playing for the under-17s. On Saturday at Preston, I'm going to watch him. So he's done well. And it's like, that's what I see. I think people are looking at Islamophobia in that way, but I think you've just got to carry yourself when you go to a club and just be yourself. And the club know what they're doing now. They've got people in place. Even like stewards, when you go to a game, lots of stewards are Asian, aren't they? So you see that, you think, oh, great, we've got somebody there we can get, you know, look after us type thing. But I think the clubs now are more qualified, and they are great to look after, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
So it seems, Solat, that before I go to Solat, we have another call. Who's calling, please?
Assalamu alaikum. Saj, it's Nazakat Hussain from Woking.
Nazakat Saab, good evening. Thank you very much for calling. In Woking?
Yeah.
Right, sir. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks for... sorry, can I... There is Azan. I want to listen to Azan and I can't carry on my conversation. Can I come back to you after the Azan?
Of course. Yeah, come back to us. Yeah, thank you very much. Right. Just regarding... thank you. Do call us back, Zak Sab. Regarding Sadio Mane. Sorry? We have another caller? Yeah, we have another caller. Who's calling, please?
Yes. Am I talking? Am I on air?
Who's calling, please?
Oh, it's me, Danish. Am I on air?
You are on air, sir. Yes. Where are you ringing from?
Oh, I'm calling you from Ireland. You know, Saj, I'm calling you from Ireland. I did speak to you before. I want to just give you two submissions. You know, number one is that you are opening the lines so late today. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the lines were open just now. So the second thing...
He's gone.
He's saying,
yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Right, yeah, with regard to Sadio Mane, I mean, this is something I've come across, so I don't know if you have, and this is so beautiful. So Sadio Mane apparently gives 70 euros per family per month to all the families in his village back in Senegal, South Senegal. There's 26,000 inhabitants. Just think about this, viewers. This is a guy who's obviously earning millions and millions in this country, but look at his responsibility and talking about, you know, humbleness, humility, and being just a good ordinary Muslims and being charity and so forth. He's giving 70 euros per month to each family. There's 26,000 inhabitants. He has built a hospital, he's built schools, a stadium, even roads. We Senegalese know the great achievements he's accomplished and proud of Sadio. If in every community there were one Sadio, the world would be much better. Fantastic. I mean, that's absolutely beautiful. Now, I know lots of no doubt others footballers do it as well, but particularly a lot of African footballers. I know Drogba, ex-Chelsea player, he does a lot back home and so forth. Solat, have you come across similar stories about these extraordinary wealthy footballers having that humility and humbleness and helping out their families and villages back in Africa or wherever they originate from?
Yeah, I think a lot of them do. The thing about charity, it's a huge part of Islam, isn't it? Especially with zakat. And on top of that, people give sadaqah.
Yeah.
But, I've got to say, Muslims are amongst the most, and Pakistanis, particularly Pakistanis, right, are the most generous people I've ever come across. Whenever there's a fundraising event here, they can raise £100,000 here in Leeds within 45 minutes, an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
People rush to give money to good causes.
Yeah.
So I think, there is a story I can remember. I saw a video circulated a few years ago. It was Sadio Mane again.
Yeah.
He's a blessed kind of guy, and he was cleaning the toilets at his local mosque with a mop.
Solat, I'll just disturb you, rudely stop you in the floor. I've got another caller who's urgently wanted to speak to. Who's calling, please?
It's Nazakat Hussain again. Saj, assalamu alaikum to you and your guests and viewers. Pyaro Radab Bar Aslam. Can I say a few things, please?
Please
Saj?
do, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, your channel, yourself, and everybody else, the management, they are doing excellent work.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Excellent work. I watch your old programs and the rest of the programs on Takbeer TV. You communicate with the Pakistani community in excellent way, give us awareness, and also I just want to ask a question from your guest. How can they suggest to youngsters and our parents to involve youngsters in sports activities so they can come off the street and like Saj been saying, as a community, I mean including myself, what's best can we do to bring our kids, especially the kids, they are involved probably with some of the things, I'm sorry to mention that, we got to keep away from that and also involve them more in sporting activities, please. What message can you give them?
Thank you very much for your excellent question, which I will put to the panel, and thank you very much for your kind remarks as well. We really appreciate that. We have 5 minutes left, gentlemen. Very quickly, Solat, if you can just answer this gentleman's question regarding involving children and parents in sporting activities, and then I'll go.
Well, I think the thing that focuses people, getting involved in a club or a team.
Yes.
Because that keeps your team discipline. You know, my son, he started playing for his school and he was late once, and his teacher hasn't let him forget it. He's never late again.
Yeah.
Right? But, you know, me, myself, I started playing football again on a Thursday night, and I put a load of weight on, and I still got lots of weight on. But because of the football, I started to train. I think that discipline of being involved in a club will keep people on the straight and narrow path.
Yeah.
As long with the Mars.
Brilliant. And reading the Mars as well. Thank you, Solat. Very good point.
That's a great call. I think what we need to do, parents need to, once the kid, you know, sort of child gets involved with any sport that they want to do, please support them. You know, go and watch them. You know, when they're playing football, go and stand on the touchline. Cricket, go and watch them. Swimming, sit there and watch them. Give them the sport. Don't just drop them off and go. Stay there. I've committed. You know, my kids are grown up now. And they swam, they play football, they play cricket, they did everything. And I stayed every sport, I took them and I stayed, I made good friends. And I think that's the way to encourage everybody to get involved. Fantastic. You know, support your family.
Fantastic. We are rushing now. I've got to get this point in. I mean, this is my favourite story that I've read for a long time, and it just fills my heart. And this is what really sport is all about, life is all about. This is the Australian cricket team recently. They were celebrating the Ashes win over England when Pat Cummins, their captain, realised that his Muslim teammate Usman Khawaja had stepped aside to avoid being sprayed by champagne or alcohol, whatever it was. So he told his teammates to put the drinks away and called Usman to join in and be part of the photos. Now that, to me, is such a beautiful moment. What a beautiful gesture. And this is what I've been trying to say, that by these, our Muslim friends, colleagues, heroes participating in sport, achieving these high levels, look at the impact that this young man has made. Awareness in terms of we don't drink alcohol, but earning the respect of not just the cricket team, but the whole nation, that they should step aside and put away their alcoholic drink and say, come and join us. We respect your religion. We respect you as a person. We thank you for the contribution you've made in helping us win the Ashes. Such a beautiful story. What do you think, Pervez?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And you see it more and more because obviously there are more Muslims playing in teams, and you do get like celebrations. Either in cricket, Moeen Khan, and I forgot the spin bowler's name, they both go off the side, don't they?
Yes.
When they spray the champagne. They've not had many celebrations lately, but when they did do well, they used to do that. So yeah, I get that, and you're right. People are aware that they can't celebrate with the champagne and things, and they've got to include them. So
look, very quickly, we have 1.5 minutes left. Half a minute for you and one for me. Sum up for us, please.
Well, look, I think since George Floyd, you know, I think there's a change. I think people want to embrace Muslims. I don't think they're going to be scared of it anymore. I think they want to be kind. There's a lot of them out there, particularly the corporates corporate organisations, responded very positively. And I think they're holding out, there is an opportunity you know, to build bridges. They're holding out an olive branch. We've got to do the same thing. I think when I talk about 3 million acts of kindness, I don't just mean to Muslims, your Muslim neighbours, I mean to everybody. And I think once they see that we are just like them, then I think things will start to get better.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, in summing up, as always, I've forgotten something very important which I meant to do very early on, and it was really to reassure our women listeners to say that, look, don't be put off because we're discussing football tonight, don't switch off. because I wanted to point out a very special lady, actually, a lady called Nadia Nadeem. She fled from Afghanistan as a child. She had to leave her country. Just very quickly, she's actually a professional footballer and also a qualified doctor as well, a practicing doctor. So what an inspirational person there, and I'm sorry we haven't been able to give her more coverage. So very quickly summing up, thank you so much to Solat in Leeds, thank you so much to Purvis for coming in and sharing your experiences with us. Thank you to all the viewers and in particular the people who rung up. Thank you very much. We've had a very interesting debate. No doubt we could continue much longer, but the lesson is please carry on doing what you're doing. Go into the areas of life that Muslims are underrepresented. Give a good account of yourselves. Be good Muslim yourselves. And that will be the only way that we can win hearts and minds of the public. Thank you very much. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.